Are you familiar with reports that the Turkish nationals were being supported or acting as suicide bombers against U.S. troops overseas?
Not directly.
Any doubt in your mind that the Turkish government has cost American lives?
No.
Caused the loss of American lives?
No. And not only American lives, even in other countries, and some innocent American lives too, yes.
Any question in your mind, based on everything that you've experienced, that the Turkish government has infiltrated members of Congress to get their support against or their opposition to the Armenian genocide resolution?
None whatsoever.
I've asked you about members of Congress, but I haven't asked you about staff. Are you aware of senior staff from members of Congress who've also been corrupted by the Turkish government?
Absolutely.
Can you identify them?
The pictures are there.
No. Who is Larry Franklin?
He was an analyst working for Pentagon who was indicted on charges on espionage and passing information through, I believe, Israeli lobby AIPAC. Active participants in ATC, American Turkish Council events, and with these Turkish operatives.
Okay. I think that's all I have. I think others may have some questions for you, but I do want to thank you again for your patience and for coming today. I appreciate it.
I have many questions, but I don't know whether you want to take a break there. I suspect the questions may be at least an hour to 2 hours, so you need to estimate whether you want to break now or whatever you want to do, and whatever a council wants to do as well. If we want to take a break, fine.
How long for?
You decide. I'll accommodate whatever you want. And why don't you talk to counsel here, whatever you want to do.
I think it was first I always ask the witness how much time she wants. Then I ask the court reporters, because they're captives here.
Yeah.
So I always try to, yes. Yeah, why don't we go off the record first? That's good.
Going off the record, the time on the video screen is 12:46 and 37 seconds. Going back on the record, the time on the video screen is 14:27 and 20 seconds. Please continue.
Ms. Edmonds, let me try to accelerate this. I believe on one of the exhibits, on the sentence I underlined, there's the statement to the effect, and I think Mr. Kahorian clarified this in his own deposition, that Gene Schmidt had received money from the government of Turkey. Do you have any personal knowledge that Gene Schmidt received money from the government of Turkey?
No.
No. You'll see also, I believe, on some of the, I think there are two other places in that exhibit I underlined, and there's the statement that Gene Schmidt received money from Turkish government-sponsored PACs. Do you have any personal knowledge as to whether or not Gene Schmidt received any money from Turkish government-sponsored PACs?
You're asking specifically about
Gene Schmidt, yes.
No.
Okay, that's enough. Now, I want to go back to the time frame in which I think you were identifying for Mr. Mannion those members of Congress who your judgment was had received bribes. And you had mentioned Mr. Blunt and Mr. Hastert and Mr. Burton and some others. Now, was your knowledge based upon information you had acquired prior to your leaving the FBI?
Her knowledge would have been based on information outside of its scope of her employment. That's how this deposition was set up.
Okay, but so number one, your knowledge was not related to anything you learned in your FBI employment, but I'm also asking whether or not that knowledge outside your government employment was acquired prior to your leaving the FBI.
Well, let me rephrase it. There's much of what she learned while she was employed in the government that she happened to also learn through additional sources after she left the government. So if there was a corroborating source that she learned it from, whether or not she learned it in the government, she would have revealed it here.
Right, but I guess this is what I'm trying to clarify, is the time frame in which the information related. That is, were they bribed in 2001, 1998, or whatever. So what I'm asking is the information you acquired, whether it was corroborating information in the public record or not, relating to the bribery, were the bribes, the blackmail, in a time frame that was prior to April of 2002 when you left the FBI?
I'm going to object to the question. I think it's really mangled. I don't know what specific things you're talking about. You keep compounding things and conflating them.
The question is very simple.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'll go back.
Let me just finish. I would ask, you've been doing this for your entire cross-examination, I would ask that you just ask simple, direct questions about specific things, not combining all the things you've talked about. Was that based upon information? Break it down. But I just want to have a clear record.
Let's take one of those, Mr. Burton, you said received bribes from the government of Turkey. What years were those bribes received?
My information that is limited for the time period 1997 until January 2002.
Is that also true for all the others that you've identified for Mr. Mannion, that time frame?
All the others is very broad.
No, I'm saying the ones that you had were on your blog, the ones, I think those were the ones that you related to Mr. Mannion. There were the pictures there that he was recounting. Mr. Haster, Mr. Blunt, and I think there were some others there that I assume that you had identified on your blog.
Again, same I went through them one by one.
Okay, I'll go through them one by one
I think
as well.
that's what you should do.
Okay, all right, let's go through them. So, Mr. Burton, your information related to the time frame 1997 up to the January of 2001. Mr. Blunt, what was the time frame of the information relating to bribery?
Mr. Blunt, to the best of my recollection, the same time period.
Mr. Haster.
To the best of my recollection, the same time period.
Stephen Solars.
The best of my recollection would be 1999 till January 2002.
Mr. Gephardt, Richard Gephardt.
And I'm sorry, I have to correct it. Mr. Solars, referring to in his capacity as his firm, he was not an elected representative during those. So we're not talking about congressional, we're talking about
the people that you had.
Okay, and that would, their activities of receiving or those kinds of activities that in the context that I explained for Mr. Solar's role would be 1999 until January 2002.
And Mr. Richard Gephardt?
I don't have any information on Mr. Gephardt.
Having received any government bribes or otherwise?
No.
Do you have any information relating to bribery and blackmail of incumbent members of Congress that were after January of 2002?
You mean direct information?
Yes, based personal knowledge.
No.
Do you know who Gene Schmidt is?
Limited to the news articles I have come across.
Before Mr. Krikorian spoke to you about 10 days ago, did you know anything about Gene Schmidt?
Very small amount that had to do with some computers in 2006 that had a glitch during election because it was on the headlines, but no, I didn't.
Did you know anything about the Turkish Coalition of America until it was raised in the question by Mr. Mann?